They originally came to prominence when they wrote their first manifesto in 1981 titled A Mandate for Leadership. And get this, those very same policies were the ones that were used and implemented in the Reagan administration. Seriously, around 60% of the 2,000 proposals written in the manifesto were implemented by Reagan. So now they're back again with a new edition, and this new edition is known as Project 2025. And it's supposed to provide guidance for the Don or whoever becomes the next Republican president. And these 900 pages and 30 chapters were written by professors, doctors, scientists, lawyers, scholars on each subject. And they've divided Project 2025 into 4 main pillars. The first is policy, which is this big book. The second is personnel. They're creating this huge conservative database, think LinkedIn, but for DJT loyalists. The third pillar is training. They set up this online educational system called the Presidential Administration Academy, where they teach their views and ideology in a course. And the fourth is called Playbook, which is an action game designed for how they're going to get everything done. Now let's get into some of the very concerning things on their wish list for DJT's second term. Starting off strong on pages 450 to 503, they're calling for a complete ban on abortions. Not very shocking. Page 319, they're saying the Department of Education should be eliminated. And in addition to calling for its elimination, they state that any school that requires a vaccine or mask mandate will not receive federal funding. Page 482, eliminate the Head Start program. Page 675, calling for the elimination of NOAA and the National Weather Service. Because these organizations, and I quote, have become one of the main drivers of climate change alarm industry and as such is harmful to the future U.S. prosperity. Page 133, they call for the complete dismantling of the Department of Homeland Security. In addition, they argue for the elimination of the FBI along with the Department of Justice. Page 5, they call for a complete ban on corn, writing that corn should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned, and anyone else who participates or facilitates it should be registered. Page 104, reverse policies that allow transgender individuals to serve in the military. Gender dysmorphia is incompatible with the demands of the military service, and the use of public monies for transgender surgeries or to facilitate abortion for service members should be ended. And there's so much more, including the possibility of ending birthright citizenship, banning African American and gender studies in all levels of education, calling for an ending of any DEI programs, getting rid of gay marriage, ending the Affordable Care Act. And it also calls for the mass deportation of immigrants and proposes a plan to round up illegal migrants and lock them up and put them in camps. But perhaps one of the most troubling and well thought out plan is the move to reclassify federal workers under what is known as Schedule F. Now, I'm going to get a little HR heavy, but please stick with me because it's so important. Now, there are 2 types of federal employees. The first group are merit-based workers. These are career positions. These people have earned them through going to school, getting work experience. They're either considered experts or they could be a part of the support staff. These people are hired because they know their stuff. Think an engineer at NASA or a scientist at the FDA. And their federal jobs have protections. Now, the other class are at-will or appointed workers. These employees tend to serve at the pleasure of the president or the administration, which basically means they can be fired or replaced at any time. To put it all in context, there are about 2 million of the first class of merit-based employees and only about 4,000 political appointed ones. Under this new plan of Schedule F, they'd reclassify a bunch of the regular civil servants into political appointees. That way, the Don can replace them with loyalists. Now, how does replacing all of these people help him carry out his plan? Let's do an example. Under Schedule F, DJT could take a scientist at the FDA, fire him, and then replace him with, let's say, a scientist who wouldn't give clearance to birth control or the abortion pill, therefore making it illegal and inaccessible without having to go through the courts, without having to go through Congress. By the way, they specifically lay this out in the plan in the 900 pages. Now, remember what I said about the whole conservative LinkedIn? That's the database they're going to use to fill these positions. A bunch of unqualified loyalists. And in October of 2020, actually, DJT tried to do this. He tried to implement Schedule F. He signed it into order, but then he lost in November. And the whole thing was pretty much a secret, but Biden then immediately repealed it. But if he wins this time, they say it'll be one of the first acts of his presidency. Now, the Don has come out and said he doesn't know anything about this Project 2025 and has been trying to distance himself from it. At least 26 authors and people who are associated with Project 2025 served in his very own administration, including Russ Voigt, John McKenty, Stephen Miller, and many others. Also, his own platform, Agenda 47, just sounds like a SparkNotes version of Project 2025. The president of the Heritage Foundation is calling Project 2025 the new American Revolution. The second DJT term could lead the way.
All right. So,
hey everyone. So Donald Trump has picked his new running mate.
All right. So for those of you who didn't understand Project 2025, this TikToker broke it down perfect, if you ask me. All right. So, and Kim is right. Project 2025 has started already in a lot of places. And I point you to the state of Florida, where they're starting to remove things from the children's educational system. And Florida's a mess, but they're already implementing this. Also recently, I think they just ruled in a certain state that they have to start teaching the Bible in school. Good morning. Hello, everyone in the chat. Thank y'all for joining me. Okay. And so when I heard this, I was like, I want to go back to when things made sense. Okay. And I remember the speech that he gave, and I just want to remind my Knotty crew about what we are fighting for here: our democracy, our freedoms, and our rights. Okay, so
I can't do that.
This is President Obama's goodbye speech when he had went at the end of his 8-year term, just for you all to know. Let me make sure this is loud enough.
If our democracy is to work the way it should in this increasingly diverse nation, then each one of us need to try to heed the advice of a great character in American fiction, Atticus Finch, who said, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view." For blacks and other minority groups, that means tying our own very real struggles for justice to the challenges that a lot of people in this country face. Not only the refugee or the immigrant or the rural poor or the transgender American, but also the middle-aged white guy who from the outside may seem like he's got advantages, but has seen his world upended by economic and cultural and technological change. For white Americans, it means acknowledging that the effects of slavery and Jim Crow didn't suddenly vanish in the 60s. For too many of us, it's become safer to retreat into our own bubbles, surrounded by people who look like us and share the same political outlook and never challenge our assumptions. If every economic issue is framed as a struggle between a hardworking white middle class and an undeserving minority, then workers of all shades are going to be left fighting for scraps while the wealthy withdraw further into their private enclaves. If we're unwilling to invest in the children of immigrants just because they don't look like us, we will diminish the prospects of our own children, because those brown kids will represent a larger and larger share of America's workforce. Our Constitution is a remarkable, beautiful gift. But it's really just a piece of parchment. It has no power on its own. We, the people, give it power. We, the people, give it meaning with our participation and with the choices that we make. Michelle LaVaughn Robinson, girl of the South Side, for the past 25 years, you have not only been my wife and mother of my children, you have been my best friend. Malia and Sasha, you wore the burden of years in the spotlight so easily. Of all that I have done in my life, I am most proud to be your dad. To Joe Biden, the scrappy kid from Scranton, who became Delaware's favorite son. You were the first decision I made as a nominee, and it was the best. My fellow Americans, it has been the honor of my life to serve you. I won't stop. In fact, I will be right there with you as a citizen for all my remaining days. Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. May God continue to bless the United States of America.
So I thought that was a real positive way to set the tone for this live stream. He said a lot of key points in there. And I just remember his first inaugural speech when he corrected Biden and said, it's not about minorities. We are the United States of America. Okay, so we're fighting for our basic civil rights here. Trump's agenda is dictatorship. He says it over and over again. His speeches are always very divisive and very barbaric. And I'm gonna conquer the world. I'm telling you, every time he speaks, the first thing I think of is Pinky and the Brain. I will rule the world. That was his whole agenda. That was his whole agenda. And for those of you who don't believe me, I'll bring you the recent receipt. Where you at, Mariah? Because we talk facts over here.
Do I need to bring the receipt, baby girl? Because I got receipts. You want me to bring?
Okay? Here recently, his recent speech. His rhetoric is very dangerous. The only thing I can do is present the facts to my naughty crew. Okay? I feel like that whole deletion attempt, and I'm trying to keep it light for YouTube. Okay? I think it was a setup. But these are the things former President Trump stands for. Shout out to his own.
We're going to give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers so they can do their job. That we're going to give immunity to police so they can do their job. I'm giving federal immunity to police officers.
This is on a tail end of Sonia Massey being robbed of her life by a police officer who made a conscious choice to take her life because he just couldn't take the realness that was coming out of her mouth. Okay? This is what he stands for. No, I got more. Let's see. But there's a lot of propaganda that comes out of his mouth. Here we go.
Now, and everything is at stake. As the Attorney General of the great state of New York, I and my other colleagues, all Democratic Attorney Generals, have endorsed Kamala Harris for President of these United States. And I think an Attorney General obviously knows, is in the best position to know what a former Attorney General is capable of. And Kamala Harris clearly is capable and is the most qualified individual to run for president. In fact, more qualified than the last 4 presidents. And it's important that individuals recognize that our basic liberties and freedoms right now are being jeopardized. As the Attorney General of the state of New York, I've joined with others to analyze Project 2025. And this is not something which is new to us. This is something which Donald Trump is true to. Why? Because when he was president of these United States, I and other attorney generals, Democratic attorney generals, we had to sue him. In fact, under my leadership, my office sued Donald Trump over 100 times. And the basis of all of that was Project 2025. 25. So he cannot distance himself from something that he has attempted to implement when he was president of these United States. And we were successful 70% of the time. We were the firewall, Democratic attorney generals. And she, Kamala Harris, given her experience, given her background, given someone obviously who was concerned about liberty and freedoms in this country and our democracy as a whole, she is the most qualified candidate to be president of these United States. And it is my singular focus to have her elected as president of these United States, organizing, mobilizing, and educating individuals about all that Donald Trump did to this country to divide us based on artificial constructs such as race and class and gender. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, I believe because we are in a post-Roe world that it is up to the women. And that's why individuals obviously need to step up, get people registered to vote, particularly in battleground states, and get out the vote in November.
General James, you
and what is at stake right now.
Shall I bring more receipts? Do you see what's at risk here? Do you see what's at risk here? Please thumbs up this video. Share the video. Let's get this information out there. The deadline to vote is October 17th. October 17th. So important for everyone to get out and vote. This man is dangerous for this country. And then he'll do anything to deflect and distract, including use his own wife, who does not like him. Shout out to the Jasmine brand. So Melania Trump is set to release a tell-all book this fall. What exactly are you going to tell, ma'am? What exactly are you going to tell? But these are the distractions that are being put out there to gain a vote. I really don't care what Melania has to say at this point. I mean, she's been quiet all this time. Continue the same energy. Keep the same energy. All right? This is what your president-elect, former President Trump, this is the stuff he stands for. I'm going to keep bringing the receipts, Naughty Crew. Shout out to New York Line.
They pretended it was good, and they're doing the same thing with her. She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum, a failed vice president in a failed administration. It was so bad, and they pretended it was good, and they're doing the same thing with her. She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum, a failed. Kamala Harris gets in, and by the way, there are numerous ways of saying her name. They were explaining to me, you can say Kamala, you can say Kamala. I said, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter what I say. I couldn't care less if I mispronounce it or not. I couldn't care less. Some people think I mispronounce it on purpose, but actually I've heard it said about 7 different ways. There are a lot of ways. There are a lot of Kamala Harris gets in, and by the way, there are numerous ways of saying her name. They were
None of this matters. This is all rhetoric. But look how he disparages people, his opponent. He's disrespectful. Yes, Nate, DJV. Very disrespectful. I ask you, is this who you want representing our country to world leaders? I pose that question to my Naughty Crew. All right. Here's some more rhetoric.
Get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years. You know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote.
Shout out to the Shade Room. Shout out to the Shade Room. You heard it out his own mouth. He intends to a dictator.
I love you, Christian. It was so bad, and they pretended it was good, and they're doing the same thing with her. She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum, a failed vice president in a failed administration. It was so bad, and they pretended it was good, and they're doing the same.
Okay? But he didn't fail this country when Coviana came about, and he refused to acknowledge it. Thousands of Americans lost their lives as a result of his recklessness. Thousands of Americans lost their lives, I remind you. Let's get on the insurrection of Capitol. He said out his own mouth what his agenda is. He wants dictatorship. Dictatorship. He said you won't need to vote anymore. But people, because the stars are coming out. Hold on. Let me listen to this really. Because Cardi B. Shout out to Hollywood Lock. All right, she posted. Oh, she didn't talk. Thank God. She posted whistleblowing on dictatorship. Even she recognizes it. She recognizes it. Everyone, I need you to open your eyes. I know it's a lot going on with celebrities and things like that, but all it is distraction and deflection. All right. Then we have our new candidate, Kamala Harris. Everyone, I love the energy of everyone rallying around her. More rhetoric.
So there was a police shooting that happened.
This is in regards to Sonia Massey. After he says that he's going to all police officers immediately, a TikToker spoke out. Here we go.
First of all, we're giving our policemen immunity from prosecution.
So there was a police shooting that happened last week in Illinois, resulting in the tragic death of a 36-year-old black woman by the name of Sonia Massey. First of all, I'm not going to show the video. Far too often in America, black people are subject to having to relive trauma.
I don't think my old heart could have taken this.
So it's important to note that a grand jury indicted this officer, Sean Grayson, on 3 counts of first-degree murder. An officer that has worked at different police sheriff departments in 6 years and has 2 DUI convictions. Kind of why the whole few bad apples argument doesn't really hold any water. When it comes to the importance of all this regarding the upcoming 2024 presidential election, just watch this video.
It's local police. First of all, we're giving our policemen immunity from prosecution because when they stop crime, they get prosecuted. The local police are great. They're just not allowed to do their job. They're afraid of losing their pension. They're afraid of losing their wife or husband. They're going to lose their house. They're losing everything. And one of the things I'm doing is giving local police immunity.
Complete immunity. That's what he wants to offer police officers like this. So yeah, a lot of things to think about when you cast that vote.
First of all, we're giving our policemen immunity from prosecution.
A lot of things to think about. A lot of things to think about. Let's see how Kamala Harris handled the Sonia Massey situation. And mind you, tons of officers are coming out and speaking in regards to that. So before we get to Kamala, let's hear what this officer has to say about the situation. He does not care about our country. All he cares about is himself.
Hi, white woman cop here. I just want to talk about Sonia Massey. I've been in law enforcement 7 years and I have seen a lot of fucking bullshit. And I'm telling you right now, that video of that officer unaliving that poor woman is fucking disgusting. As a cop, I am completely disgusted with not only my duty and my profession right now, but all my other law enforcement officers who are refusing to speak out against this. I mean, this goes beyond a law enforcement. This goes to a humanity factor. This officer went into the situation wanting to kill someone. Why are there not more officers speaking out against this? That is not what I signed up to do this job for. And any cop that does not speak out against this is just as guilty. In fact, we should be the first ones speaking out against our own people that are doing this stuff. This is murder. Yeah, it's murder. When I signed up to be a law enforcement officer, it was to protect and serve my community. It was to get to know my community. It was to help my community, to better my community, to make sure my people were safe. That's why I signed up. So you're telling me right now that a pot of boiling water is a threat to you? That's I cannot fathom. Because again, this wasn't about a woman with a pot, was it? This was a race-related issue. I'm absolutely disgusted. Disgusted. I'm so sorry. Sonia Massey deserved better, and I will say her name. Justice for Sonia Massey. We failed you. As law enforcement, we absolutely failed you. We failed your family. We just failed. Some days I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to be a part of this system. Because I care about people and I want to help people. I do not want to harm anyone. And if you go into this profession with some idea of grandeur, like you want to be a hero, you don't need to be here. And now all the work that us good officers do to try to bring our community together, to make them not fear us, well, guess what? It's all gone because of that asshole. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to make him famous. He's nobody. He's dirt underneath my boot.
Say her name, Sonia Massey, and I hope her family gets justice. Nate, shout out to you. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate you supporting the channel. And I just had to time out a subscriber. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I just ask that everyone be respectful. Be respectful. All right, you already have people like Candace Owens out here disparaging Kamala Harris, saying that she slept her way into politics and things like that. She would not like it if someone went into her history and pulled out her skeletons. And where's the fact? Like, I'm supposed to believe you just because you're Candace Owens? Kick rocks, Candace Owens. Someone needs to put a muzzle on that woman, I swear. But that's one of the offers that came forward, and it's a lot coming forward. Vice President Kamala Harris, she called the family of Sonia Massey. Shout out to Hollywood Unlocked for this footage. So Massey's father, he put out a statement saying how he felt about Kamala Harris reaching out. That made me feel a lot better today. She gave us her heartfelt condolences, and she let us know that she is with us 100%, and that this senseless unaliving must stop. So the cousin of Sonia Massey, Shadia Massey, said that the call from Harris moved her deeply. That call right there meant the world to my family right now. She said, I mean, it definitely broke every last one of us down. Out of all the phone calls, all the thousands and thousands of messages and phone calls and inboxes, this one here really meant the world to our family, okay? So she did reach out.
I got a call from the hospital, actually. I never got a call from the police or whatever. But they told me that my mom, I got shot in the eye and it came out her neck. And they didn't tell me who. They were just saying somebody. They never would tell me who. They just kept on saying someone shot her.
So they covered it up. It's horrible. It's horrible. They covered it up. So I pose to you, Knotty Crew, who would represent this country more? Or in the proper way, I should say. Kamala or Trumper and his dictatorship agenda? Then also, I want to take you back to when they tried to delete Trump at that rally. I said from the very beginning, I did not believe it. I felt like it was a setup. And other people are feeling the same sentiment. Shout out to Celebrity World.
See it?
Let me start it over.
Look closely. Do you see it? Look closely. Do you see it? Look closely.
It was all set up, and you know what makes me feel worse? That someone innocent, that young kid, lost his life in the process of this. That just goes to show they don't care about anyone and who they sacrifice. So we're getting into the comments. This person says they will always try to make this all, but here another man was unalived by his, blown out in this very same moment. It was really real bullets, real blood. Nothing about it. Trump was almost unalive, but of course, this had been Biden, y'all would be all over it saying how real it is. It's just that he has lied and gaslight this country so many times. Why should you believe it? This person said it was staged. If someone lied, people would be running all over the place. This person says, and what about the 2 people that died? So they're putting all type of bots and all these commercials to disparage the other party, just to distract from the facts. The fact is, he was a horrible president, if you ask me. He put this country in danger all over the place. And I feel like we are at risk. And the number one threat to this country is domestic terrorism. Trump has said out of his own mouth, if he is not elected, look, BLOOD will shed. All right. So I'm gonna bring up some panelists. All are welcome. I just ask that you respect. Oh, we had Kim, but I don't know what happened. All are welcome to come up and give their opinions on how they feel. The major thing I want to drive home, Knotty Crew, is the importance of us getting out and vote. Just like it was important when we got Obama in office, it's just as important now. It's just as important now. Hey, everybody. Hey, Brendan. Hey, Kim. Hey, Curves.
Hey.
Thank you all for joining me.
Thank you for having this topic.
Yeah, thank you for doing this.
Yes. Brendan, I'll start off with you. What are your thoughts on this climate of things that we're living in with this election year?
I got a lot of thoughts, and some of them, I don't think they were meant for YouTube, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
First of all, this I'm not gonna say he's a man. He's a mouse. He's a mouse. He's a demon in mouse skin. Isn't that false deletion? Isn't that a deletion attempt? That was staged.
I agree. That's our opinion, Naughty Crew. It was staged.
Yeah. And then this man's look, I barely survived his administration. I lost one family friend, and I couldn't see two family members who were dying because of COVID restrictions.
Right.
Restrictions that he let. I'm sorry, it's just painful to explain this to me. It's just painful.
It's emotional. It's emotional. He put this country through a lot, so I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he gets elected again, so what am I gonna do? Not be able to come back to the Oval Office. I'm sorry, but just can't.
Exactly.
That's why I'm backing
Hey, Corey. Hey,
Kamala.
Jude.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just saying hi to everyone. Welcome everyone to the panel. Brenda, do you have any more thoughts that you want to put out there before I move on to Curves?
Ooh, lots of them. But here's one. I'm begging, no, I'm imploring you, get out and vote before it's too late.
The deadline for registration, if you're not registered, is October 17th, Naughty Crew. Curves, put the link to register to vote in the comments. If you're not registered, please register. Actually, people fought for us to have these rights. Now's the time to use them. And it doesn't just stop at the presidential election. You have to vote on all levels, your local election and so on. It's important who you appoint as your prosecution. All these things affect us down the line. So you have to be an active participant on all levels.
Yes.
All right, Curves, what are your thoughts?
Do you know how to prevent diaper rash? All you have to do is change your diapers more often, focus on preventing skin contact with stool, rinse your skin with lots of warm water and clean it properly, and be sure to clean the stool off the skin folds. What we're dealing with is major diaper rash from these two cheeks of the same ass. And while I agree, we have to get registered, we have to do our voting, we have to do our local voting specifically, because then Kamala couldn't even been the DA to get to be an AG to do what she did to the people that she did it to in my state. I'm here. It's not propaganda. We lived it. Or why are her records scrubbed? They literally scrubbed the woman's records the first time she ran for president last time. They had to scrub her records from when she was AG and DA because it was so harmful to what they were talking about. What Tilsey said
Right back.
in that thing, what Tilsey Gerard or whatever her name said that ended her presidential bid last time, the stuff was true. 1,500, the actual numbers was 1,900. They were going easy on her. She really did go after parents and try to put them in jail for the kids being truant, but she targeted specific parents. All of it is true. I'm saying vote for who you want to, but this diaper rash situation is going to be the diaper rash that we get until we decide that as a people, we're not choosing the lesser of two diapers. We're not choosing the lesser of two shitty diapers anymore. We need to have viable candidates, and how we get that is through democracy. The word is rooted in we, the people, decide who we want to vote for. What the DNC has done is exactly what the RNC did last time, usurping our right to decide on a Democratic nominee by forcing Joe down our throats, and now force feeding us Kamala is not democracy. The RNC has a point. When they go and sue, now the point they're suing off of isn't valid, but when they go and sue, they have a point because we had our freaking democracy usurped if you're a Democrat. We were supposed to get to decide. We were supposed to, as the people, decide and listen to what these people were going to promise. And we didn't get that. And now we're left with, okay, well, now we have to rally behind. Democracy isn't getting done, and that's what I need to get out of the diaper. Next.
All right, Mademoiselle, she says that's not really reality, though. We have two candidates right now. Do you have anything to
The
say?
reality, no, it's not, Mademoiselle. I'm sorry. In America, the Democratic nomination is not decided until the Democratic convention when the person accepts the nomination. So we actually still do have time. We actually still do have time to have Kamala talk to Marianne Williamson because she's a Democrat. We have time for Kamala to talk to other Democratic viable candidates. We have time. Just like that's why old 45 in his 93-minute speech at the RNC last weekend, he finally accepted the RNC's Democratic bid at the convention, which is where it's supposed to happen. The Democratic convention doesn't even happen until August, 6th or something? So we literally have time. They're telling us we don't have time, and they're pretending like we don't have time so that they can usurp our rights as citizens to decide on who we want to represent us in the freaking White House. Now I'm saying she sounds like a great candidate. Yay, she's a woman. Yay, she seems different. But her stances and what she's planning on doing is just a continuation of the chick that we've been getting.
Wow. Thank you for your thoughts. Hey, Juice, welcome to the panel. I'm excited to hear what you are feeling, what you have to say.
Hey, everybody. Thank you all for being here. And Knotty, thank you for having this open panel discussion. It is much needed. I want to start off by saying this to every one of the listeners. We are all on the same team because we all live in the same country. We want everyone to be able to get the things that they need and not do this whole political thing of voting and voicing our opinions, being hateful with one another. I posted today on somebody's page, they posted something about the Netflix thing and say how they're going to ban Netflix and they don't want to do Netflix, subscribe to them because Netflix allegedly donated $7 million to Kamala Harris. And I said this, we have to stop being so small-minded with these things that are going on. If you ban Netflix, just because you're mad at the owner for donating $7 million to Kamala Harris, you're not thinking about the workers. You're not thinking about those employees. You're not thinking about those family members that are there, those people that need their jobs. You're only thinking one-sided. Those people that are employed there could be some family members that you may know or others. So we got to stop being so small-minded when it comes to the attributes of our conversations. I understand everybody has their opinion on what they feel about the different parties and the different people. But really, are you looking at what the person is doing, or are you just looking at the person? Are we voting just because the name Republican is there or the name Democrat is there? Have we looked into what their agendas are? Have we looked into what they're trying to do for us? Or are we simply voting because we're looking at the person? It is time for us to put aside looking at the individual and look at what is their purpose. What are their plans? We get so lost in our political votes because we're only looking at the party. When are we going to start opening up our computers, laptops, or magazines or newspapers or whatever we have and start reading what is their purpose? What is the agenda? We're so blinded by only looking at the person. Politics is not the person, it's the purpose. And until we get our heads wrapped around meaningful things when it comes to these political aspects, we will not find any truth as far as what we need to be looking at. Project 2025 is right there. Yes, it's 900 pages, but it is telling us what Trump wants to do. Why are the people closing it or saying, I don't want to look at it and I don't want to pay attention to it? Why? Because they're still looking at the purpose, the person. They're not looking at the purpose.
Exactly.
And that hurts. It hurts. And we all need to get to a point where we stop looking at the person and start looking at the purpose. And we don't have to be fighting with one another out here. And we don't have to be looking at the small point of this. Stop saying you want to cancel an organization because they casted their donations to an organization. There are other people that are involved with it. If all those companies shut down, where are all those employees going to go?
Jobs are lost. Exactly.
Stop being so small-minded.
Yes. I want to speak to Daniel's comment, and he says, "If it's rigged, what's the point of voting?" Anyone want to answer to that?
I do want to answer it because,
Go
and excellent panel. Good afternoon, everyone. Honestly and truly, it's not rigged. A lot of people didn't vote in their local elections, and it shows. And a lot of policies have been pushed. Even though I used to be a resident of Louisiana, I am now a resident of Dallas. So there's a lot of things that were put in place that people just didn't even show up to the polls for. Like, I voted in my local primaries for a reason. There were things on the ballot that they had to remove because we voted against it. I don't have a problem with food stamps and stuff like that, but I was not for immigrants getting that because I know taxpayers weren't going to get it. So I was like, no, I voted in the best interest of me. Like, if I know a struggling family who's lived in America all their life can't have it, I don't want somebody who's just getting here to have it either. Absolutely not. And those are just some of the things you have to vote for. Now, when it comes to voting at the presidential level, that's why the local primaries are super important. But I think a lot of people like to forget that the House and Senate, that's where the propaganda is coming in. They want y'all to focus on Trump and Kamala Harris when they're not talking about the House is up for re-election, the Senate is up for re-election, and some of these judges are up for re-election. And that's where we make our money, because a lot of people are just, oh, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this, when no, all seats are up. I think it's like 500 seats are up for election. People aren't speaking on that because they want you to be dumb about it and ignorant to the fact that some of these people are holding some of your rights that are in place. I was riding in an Uber yesterday where this woman is 72 talking about how Roe versus Wade was a huge thing and how she was burning her bra. And I'm like, you're 72 having to witness things be rescinded. And I get it. You're what you believe in is what you believe in, but they're taking away birth control. They're taking away IVF. And I've known people who went through IVF so that they could conceive a child. But guess what's still around? Viagra. So if IVF is not the Christian way, then why is Viagra and Cialis and the rest of these male enhancements still allowed to be taken? And then I'm out here in Houston where a baby was thrown away. Who's going to take care of that baby? See, they love to say they care about the children, but they have nothing in place for the kids. I'm somebody who donates every year to a foundation where they feed their children all through the summer, because we know if these kids aren't in school, they don't eat. But there's nothing in place for that. So I'm loving this panel. I just had to give y'all my little tidbit. I think y'all doing amazing work, and keep pushing, because people want us to be ignorant. They want you to be swayed by some of these dumb rappers who want to talk about stuff. They're not talking about policy. And for the record, Sway Lee talking all that mess. Mississippi still has dirty water.
Dirty water. Talk about it.
That's right. Mr. Sway Lee is not, he's only old enough to have really voted in one election. So why are we taking his advice? Really?
Exactly. He's out there living in California. He don't know what he's talking about. But I'm gonna drop down, ladies and gentlemen. Thank y'all so much.
I appreciate your thoughts. Thank you. Please go over to Couture Bay and subscribe to her channel. As you can see, she has wonderful, educated commentary, and I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And y'all get these.
God bless, sister.
Thank you. All right, Corey, you're up next.
All right, this is what I gotta say. I don't have a problem with Kamala's record as an AG. I don't. She had to do what she had to do. If we're not in the room, we can't sit at the table. If we're not in the positions, we cannot do programs to divert people from having felonies, which she did. Okay? We cannot, if we're not in the room, we can't hear it. We have to be in the room. Can we stop all this about black AGs? Can we stop all this, people? If we ain't in the room, we can't affect change. Stop listening to all this BS. Marianne Williamson and her mushroom eating behind can't help nobody. RFK with them worms in his head. His own family has disowned him and his craziness. We need grounded people for office because this ain't no joke. 2025 ain't no joke. The Heritage Foundation ain't no joke. Y'all keep playing checkers and they out here playing chess. Get out and vote. Vote down the ballot.
Yes, Corey.
If you don't vote for your Department of Education representatives, your children gonna be learning the Bible and not the real Bible. What the colonizers want them to know. You know what they did to my people when they came here and quote unquote founded this country? They snatched the indigenous children from their parents and threw them in boarding schools, which raped them and abused them and did anything they wanted to do to them but teach them real education. The children are where they get the society. If they get your children, they got you.
Period. And when they want to push an agenda, because you know the old saying, you can't teach your old dog new tricks, right? So that's why they go after our children. They're young, they're impressionable.
That's why I started my son at age 8, because that's when I started at age 8 in political science. When Carter lost to Reagan, I cried for an entire month and didn't know why. So I opened a book and read all I could.
Exactly.
That's right. Educate yourself, people. Do not rely on someone else telling you information. Do your own research. I encourage you all to do that. That's why I like mail-in vote personally, because when I don't know all of the candidates, it gives me the opportunity to research and things like that. So if you don't go to the poll physically, you do have the option to mail in. I just encourage you to vote. I'm gonna move over to Kim Corey. Hey, Kim.
Okay. Hey, Kim.
Hey. Good panel. So this is what I have to say. We've got work to do. Okay. We've got work to do, and that is it. It's layers to everything in life. It's not always black and white. First of all, a lot of our work needs to happen in the local elections because they have deferred a lot to the state. Okay, so we got the federal and the state. We need to start making sure that the people that we put in office to represent us are the right ones. So we have to start there. The other thing is that a lot of people may not have the time to vote and things like that. But they've got to talk to their community, just like they had. A lot of people were complaining that when with Black women, they had all of these different, because I was on a couple of those calls. And they're like, well, why are you putting the Asian women and the Black women and the Latino and the white women on separate calls? I get it now. Now, I didn't get it at first as I was in the Black call because everything was normal to me, okay? But when I went over to the white women's call, I got it because they were speaking to theirs. They know that these women have to deal with the patriarchy on a day-to-day basis, and their husbands take care of everything, so they got to sneak. So they were telling those white women, listen, when you go into, there's protections for you. So when you go in there and booth, your husband don't know, vote your conscience. You have daughters, granddaughters. If anything happens to them and they get pregnant and they have complications that will put their life in danger, they're going to have to DIE because you cannot get an abortion. Okay, period. The other thing they told them is that if you really want to do something and your husband's taking care of everything and you can't do it, do like other women did. Start a book club, quote unquote. Say that you're going to the library and you use that time to go to your campaign headquarters and you vote. So we have to start talking at it just on a small level. Each and every one of us can talk to anyone that we know and all that we know in our families and our friends circle who have 18-year-olds. Get them to register. The new law, they can register up to the day of voting. Get them to register. Now, as it relates to these candidates and all the rest of that, I'm going to piggyback on what Regina said. You got to look at the whole picture. It's not about Kamala and Trump. This is truly about principalities, light and dark. That is what it's about. It is about light and dark. And that Project 2025 is already in effect. Because I'm reading some of it, we see a lot of those things have already infiltrated into the policing of our communities, into the justice system. We see a lot of that stuff going on. Do you know that that lady said already, she said he had put Schedule F in, but he thought he was going to be able to implement it with a second term, but he wasn't. So then Biden had to then repeal it. So they were already pushing this stuff through. We just happened to know about it this time around. And then lastly, I'm getting ready to wrap it up and say that we need to make sure, instead of talking about the candidates that we have, because we got to deal with what we got to deal with now. All right. And I think they did the right thing about putting Kamala in there, because she, on paper, she lines up for the best, okay, on everybody else as it relates to the other candidates. The other thing, and when I say the best, not just her record, so I don't want to be trying to defend that, but what I'm saying is the one who had the biggest purse, the one who already was in the White House, the one that they felt like could get the delegates. They had to put, because we got to beat him. We have to beat the darkness is what we have to do. And what we need to do also when we're working on our local elections, if we don't like these people, that we all got to get busy on the local elections. We got to start trying to pull our resources together and make our own movements for things such as term limits. We got to put a term limit on some of these people. They get to be career politicians. They get into other people's pockets. Then they're being then moved by the money. It has been long gone that this government was for the people, by the people. Now it's just by the corporations. That's it.
I love those thoughts. All right. I'm gonna come back around to everyone to give everyone final thoughts, and we'll wrap up the show. But this is a great panel. Please like, comment, and share. All right. And I'm gonna go backwards this time, just to be fair. Corey, you're up.
Okay. Well, listen at this. This country didn't want a woman, let alone a black woman. Right? So they got her. We need to back her, because the alternative, I don't want to live in Gilead, okay? There's only a certain amount of provinces in Canada that will accept my new furry puppy, okay? I don't want to have to leave my country. I don't. That my people from all sides that make me up have bled and died and built this country, okay? I don't want to leave it. I'm gonna do it kicking and screaming. I'm gonna fight till the end. So get out there and vote. It may be too late for an absentee ballot this time around. If not, check your local precincts to see if you can get one. If you can't get one, try to do early voting. We do absentee ballot here in this house. And that allows my son to look at the ballot, ask questions. Go Google it.
Yes.
Ask questions. Google it. Call the NAACP or whoever you got to call to find out about these things.
Right.
Read. Don't let the old saying be true. If you want to hide it, put it in a book so colored folk won't read it.
I never heard that saying before.
I have. All right. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Corey. Juice, you're up.
I would have to say this, guys, for those people that are saying that Kamala is not the best candidate for us, I'm going to say this. Back in the day, remember they said, if you got lemons, make lemonade. So we going to have to get behind her. If she's who we got, then we going to have to do the best with what we got. We need to stand together, because if she is your vote, then don't talk about her and down her. Find ways that we can help one another to build, because she's not going to be running this country by herself. We are still the Americans that are still in charge of running this country. Just because one person is in the seat don't mean that one person run the country. We, the people, run the country. So we still have to understand that even though people may not like her, but if you disagree with some of the things that Trump is doing, then you're going to have to get behind Kamala. You're going to have to do it, because one of the two are going to be president unless somebody else comes up, unless God put a ram in the bush and somebody else shows up. But we are going to have to be able to say what our stances are. But I do want to say this again and reiterate this again. Please do not do things in a hateful manner, because we're not fighting against one another. That's not what we're doing. We have to still stay united, even if people in political positions are fighting against one another. We are not going to be the fighters. We will not have another January 6th take place.
Yeah.
We have to stand united, even when the politicians are divided. We, the people, must remain united.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. United we stand.
Divided we fall.
Love that, Juice. Thank you so much. All right, Curves, you're up.
Same. I feel the same. And Marianne is not a mushroom toting hippy dippy. Everybody has their opinions of whatever. I met her. She's a very nice woman and very level headed. Yeah. And she never locked up 1,900 people. And she talks about reparations, and she really has a great agenda. She has an answer for everything with the numbers involved to get it done. And some people she's not a viable candidate. To other people she is. And whoever people decide to vote for, hopefully it's in their best interest. I'm very torn about us doing what we said the RNC did. I'm very torn about getting me complicit in choosing between two devils. I'm very torn, and everybody acting like it's quite nothing to see here, folks. You guys didn't get to democratically elect your nominee. Nothing to see here, folks. Oh, those other people are really bad, and they're trying to steal democracy when we didn't even get democracy done on our side. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and everybody's acting like there's nothing to see here, folks. But there's a lot to see, because it sets the tone for what's next, and it sets the tone for what has been. And if we want to keep getting what we're getting, we're going to keep doing what they're forcing us to do, which is choose between two freaking devils. And then for 4 years, we burn up.
I got the person I wanted.
All right,
I have to say this, Knotty, but based on what Curves is saying, that we didn't get to choose, where were the choices?
The DNC back
Who
in
were the choices?
the DNC made the choice when they allowed Sleepy Joe to lie and renege on his promise to be a transitional president. And then he left his foot in the ring during the time that all the other people that were throwing their hats in the ring to be a viable candidate for the position, the DNC
That was back then. We're talking about today. And instead of us calling names, because I don't want nobody to call you a name, Curves.
I call them the DNC.
No, you said Sleepy Joe.
Okay, keep
so instead of just Joe Biden. I would not allow somebody to come on my channel and talk about you like that, Curves. I would not allow anybody to.
That's part of my problem. Like, everybody wants me
I'm
to just
saying, as far as us as a people, we don't have to join in the foolishness. We don't have to join in the foolishness, Curves. We don't have to do that. We don't have to be a part of that party. We do not have to be a part of that party to talk negatively and rude about individuals. That's not right. And that's the reason why people keep doing it, is because people that call themselves leaders keep doing the same foolishness. We need to stop doing that, Curves. That's disrespectful.
He mumble talks. He talks like he's a rapper from the South. He can't even form a whole sentence unless somebody gives him the right tea. I can say
that's
what I want.
Opinion,
This is America.
That's your opinion.
This is
What? Okay, but you don't
America.
have to call him
This
names.
is my first one, Juice. I'm not gonna. What?
Snotty, that's right.
What?
He has a
What?
Right.
He has a disability.
I'm just saying, I would not allow anybody to come on my panel and talk about you like that, Curves, because I respect you as a person. I may not like everybody, but I don't have to disrespect a person by calling them names.
It's not disrespectful to
We
say
don't have
that
to
the
do
man
that.
is
He
asleep.
has a disability, Curves. That is disrespectful.
It's not.
It is
disrespectful.
Please.
What's disrespectful is the man said he would be a transitional president. He backed out of it, and everybody acted like there was nothing to see here. And then he took his hat. He took his hat out of the ring and left another hat in the ring. So what?
But what I asked you, Curves, was as far as
that's the dynamic of life anyway. But let me
okay,
just say
what the
this. That's
choice
the
was, Curves. What I
dynamic of
asked you
life.
was, what are the choices that
I
we
mean,
have
I was
made?
totally in the middle of talking, Juice, but you go ahead.
Oh shit.
Okay, thank you. But what I said was, what choices do we have now with Kamala? What other Democratic Party did we have to stand up? We don't have anybody else right now, so we have to get behind what we have.
Oh,
If you're
you
choosing
don't
based on
think
the
that that was
Democratic
by
Party,
design? So was that by
no, I
design
don't know.
or was that
I
done
don't know.
democratically? I believe
How
it was
will
done
we
by
know?
design because we
Civil.
did not do the democratic process.
But
And if
how
your
can we know
mind,
that,
if
Cause if we
your
have
How
no
did
facts
not
mind,
do
to back
the
it up?
democratic
your,
process and
so
he
you're telling me,
resigned? He stepped back.
Are you telling me that all the other years you voted, you never got you never got to vote for different Democrats? Are you telling me
That is
that
what I'm
all
asking
the
you,
other
Cause,
elections
right now.
before in
That
our
is what I'm
long
asking you,
history
Cause.
of voting, that there was always only the Democratic nominee that they gave us? You're telling me that we never had a primary election before with at least
Well, where
5
are the other
Democratic
people? Where
nominations
are the
up
other
there?
people,
Are
Cause?
you telling me that that's what happened? Because that's what happened
Everyone,
this time that we
just be
didn't get it.
civil.
I don't remember another election in history where we didn't at least get the option to choose for other people. Even
I still
Obama
have
had
not heard where the other person is. I still have not heard where the other person or other candidates are, and that's what I'm waiting to hear.
Well,
You
are
keep
you?
saying
Well,
you're going
I
to
was going
I
to
study.
can
say this.
say
I
they
like to
were out
interject.
there. They were
Okay.
out there when they were
I
out
like to
there in
interject.
March
Can
when
I
it was
interject
supposed
for a
to
second?
happen. They
Can
were
I
out there
interject
in
for a
March when
second?
it was supposed
Can
to
I
happen.
interject for a
And you're
second? Can I
acting like
interject?
all of this is
Civil.
just
Can
because.
Okay.
Kurt?
Okay.
Interject. Everybody's
I
interjecting because nobody
look.
wants to hear what I have to say.
Kurt.
Interject.
One second. One
Thank
second. You both have very, very valid points. All right. And Kurt, you're entitled to how you feel about the situation and the democratic process. Hey, Emmanuel. And Juice was making a valid point as well. I just want us to respectfully disagree, ladies. Because we can go
Yeah,
on and go in
that's what I'm
circles.
trying to say.
And I have other panelists that just joined, and I want to get Brendan's thoughts as well. Okay. So let's respectfully
Yeah.
agree, disagree, because we're all YouTube friends and
you.
YouTube families, and we're not going to always
Yes.
agree on
Right.
everything. Okay.
Right.
Right.
All right,
And
Brendan.
there's no love lost. There is no love lost to Curves. You know how I am. I can
Yeah.
disagree with you and still sit at a table and have a croissant and coffee with you. That's who
Yeah,
I
I
am.
mean, I don't hate
That's
Juice or
exactly who I am.
and I love being able to finish the thought though, Juice. Think of that next
No
time when
disrespect to you, Naughty. No disrespect.
Okay.
Everyone, keep it
All
civil.
right. There was some talking going on there. I apologize, Curves. I'll give you another opportunity to speak for sure. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Brendan. Go ahead with your thoughts, and then I'm gonna move to Couture Bay.
All right. Well, first thought, I always have a piece of advice. Ignore the propaganda. Focus on what you see. Second, oh God, how do I explain this?
Take your time, baby.
I'm trying. Chest is a little tight right now, so give me a minute.
Okay, breathe.
You want to go to the tour?
If you need a second, I could go to Couture Bay and then
Hey,
come back to you.
I need a second, so
No
thank you.
problem. Hey, Bree, what's going on?
Hey everyone, and again, I'm back because I was listening. I finished my face routine so I can come back. So I want to say this. Tensions are high. I get what larger curves. I get what you're saying. I definitely understand that. And I feel like if we're so strongly passionate about the things we feel, we should put that on the table. We shouldn't argue about it. And I'm not saying y'all were arguing. I'm gonna just say y'all were talking passionately as women of a certain age because y'all have seen things a lot of us have not seen. But in order to be great one second. In order to be great candidates of the Constitution, we also have to make sure we're pushing the policies we want in place because
That's what
there
I
was a
said.
lot of things I feel we didn't do during the Obama administration
Mm-hmm.
because of the middlemen. And y'all know who those middlemen are. I'm not going to bring them up. But I think this time around, as we're pushing for whoever we want to push for, we need to make sure that we push what we need to. Not just
Absolutely.
stand there and just be like, oh, go along, get along, gang. Actually say, hey, this is what I need because oftentimes we do get disregarded. I mean, the history shows it since the beginning of time. There's a lot of bills that we were on there and then they removed us at the last minute. I always go back to the Trail of Tears. That is the biggest one because it affected people in Louisiana. You know, I'm a Louisianan. So with that being said, I feel like now is the time. We've in a long time, I've never since I've been voting where the House and the Senate was up right along with the president, and then other countries are up for electing their prime ministers and presidents and stuff like that. So I feel like the stars are aligned. Push the policy. Push the policy and larger. If you want that lady to be on the ballot, put her on your ballot because you have the right to do that. But I also feel like this. I think a lot of it ties to jealousy. I really do. And I know that sounds weird. And I'm not talking about you, Larja, but when it comes to politics, because look how they're publicly disrespecting this woman, calling her the hot tour lady. And we've never seen a dip it low session ever. And I'm so sick and tired of people demonizing women who are in positions of power, relating it they got there by their poom poom, right? Because they would never do a man like that. And so my thing is this, we when we're out here pushing what we want, we also we also have to remain neutral in our emotions because we need to be high in emotion with pushing these policies, but low in emotion when talking amongst our colleagues and peers about why we're so passionate about certain candidates and why we're not. There were a lot of things I felt were, you know, that I could go on, but is that going to do anything? No, it's just going to be a conversation piece. And I feel like that's a distraction. And I don't want us to be distracted because women right now, women and men. Right now, we're at a height where this man publicly spoke about Christians come out so you don't have to come out again. That to me was crazy. And he said it because he could, not because he was fearful. He said it because he could, and because he's a man and he's a certain type of man. So, and being that one of our KKK is financially backing him, that was a terror in Louisiana. I'm just like, baby, the writing is on the wall. I'm not telling anybody who they need to vote for, but I tell you this: my grandfather is alive from Jim Crow. Okay, he is alive. He knows what it looked like. He knows what it smells like. And the fact that people are saying they're not voting is crazy because the civil rights movement is not even 100 years old. The feminist movement is only 102, I think, and it's been rescinded on a lot of things. There's like, I remember women seeing a film where a woman was drinking spoiled milk so she did not have to be pregnant. So all I
remember when women would go and you get a hanger, okay, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna say something that you said though, Couture.
But I'm gonna go back on silent, my bad.
Couture said something though that I want to piggyback on. She's right. Okay, when she was saying there's a lot of different things that we can do. Back in the day, because I was born in the 60s, okay, so I've seen a lot of the civil rights movement and stuff like that. But one thing that we did back then, we had something called the Black Slate. And the Black Slate was for every state that you lived in. What we did as a people is that we held our votes hostage. We put down there on the Black Slate for every state where you could find were the candidates that best had our interest at heart. Okay, first of all, so you could go to the Black Slate and you could look and you could see who you should vote for. Because what had happened is, again, we had held our votes hostage, and as it related to those candidates, we had talked with them and we told them that we were going to withhold our votes until we found out. So they knew what was plaguing our communities and what they were going to do about it, and we felt a certain way about that. The other thing that Couture said that was really good too is about this. If you want to look at it, like I like to look at the big picture, like I said, it's light and dark. It's AKA or the KKK. Okay, that's what we got right now. We got the AKA or the KKK. Voting for her also is going to pave the way for a lot of women to come through. I just don't want us to, and I understand and I respect everybody's opinion, okay? I wouldn't have chose Kamala either, okay, per se. You know, I'm just gonna say, and I know there's no way it's gonna happen. The only person I really wanted to see in there would be Michelle, but she ain't coming back. But I'm telling you, if I had my druthers, that's who I'd like to see. But I don't have my druthers. I can only deal with the cards that I played, and for the next 4 years, once we get this person in office, I'm going to be about my business and working to see what I can do and who I can mobilize so that we can start seeing some of the changes and we can act as a catalyst, because the revolution ain't going to be televised. The revolution happens inside of each one of us and how we move in the world and operate.
Got you. Okay, really quick. We have a new panelist. Hi, Erin. Smiling with Erin. Welcome to the panel.
Hi, Erin.
Hi, Erin.
I just wanted to say how much I respect and I'm so grateful that you're having this panel today, Nani, even though I'm emotional because it's such an emotional topic. And I just wanted to say I'm so grateful that everybody wants to educate everybody else. And yes, I am a Democrat, so I will not be voting for him. I don't like him.
Nobody
I'm sorry,
does.
I don't. And I do think it's important to vote. The purpose is very important. I heard somebody say that on the panel, but also look at the person, because the character they are says a lot about how they're going to treat people and treat our nation. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for letting me come up.
I love you, Erin.
love you,
Please
Erin.
go over
Love you, Erin.
Please go over to Smiling with Erin D, to her channel, and subscribe. As you can see, she's a very beautiful, positive spirit and a light. And she is, I always call her my YouTube guardian angel. She was very influential when I first started my channel, and she was very supportive and helping me get in my hours and things like that. So I'm always like grateful when you come up and bless the stage.
I love all of you, and I really respect everything you're saying, and thank you all for all the knowledge you're giving all of us. I am going to go back to the chats, but I just wanted to thank all the panelists because I think you're all amazing.
Thank you so much.
Love you.
With that being said, Curves, I'm going to give you the floor, girly. Curves, where are you?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay. All right, let's let Curves get her thoughts out.
Yeah.
And let's all just hear her out. And I understand her perspective too. Like I think two things can be true at the same time. Juice had a very valid point, and so did Curves. And Curves is very educated. She's very passionate. So please don't misunderstand my friend, okay? She's just very passionate. When she feels it for a topic, especially when it comes to like race relations and rights and things like that, she goes ham. So Curves, you have the floor.
So yeah, I go ham when I get interrupted because I'm a woman of a certain age and I'm 420. So when when I'm in the middle of it, somebody else rants in, then okay, whatever. But so somebody was asking who were the other viable candidates. Well, had we had a primary election, we would have known who the other viable candidates were. There was some dude named Dean, there was the Marianne lady, there was Joe, and there was a couple other ones that didn't even get to debate with Joe because they got usurped in the process. And what I said before was, can anybody else name a time when even when Obama was getting elected for his second term, he had to meet and talk to other viable candidates. He met and talked with other viable candidates. He had to still go and debate and win the election from the DNC to even be part of the ticket. But now we don't want to do that because she's Black or because we're scared or because they painted us into a corner. We didn't do this. We, the people, were supposed to be the buffer for this type of stuff to not happen. We, the people, did not get the primary. We, the people, have only heard what Joe and, Sleepy Joe, I'm going to keep saying what I feel like saying. We, the people, only got to hear what Sleepy Joe and now Kamala is saying. We didn't get to hear what they said in juxtaposition to Marianne or to the Dean guy. Why? Who's scared of that? I wasn't scared of hearing the other people talk, but for some reason, the DNC decided that Americans only need one point of view. And that's one thing we love over here on YouTube is that I don't have to share your point of view, but I get to hear it. You don't have to share my point of view, but you get to hear it Why was the DNC so scared of allowing us to hear other points of view that could have possibly separated us from this diaper rash situation? Why were they? Oh, because they're so scared of Trump? Well, if the people would have been doing with the laws that are in place right now, then we wouldn't even be dealing with the 34 count. I tried to insurrect the freaking election last time, because that's part of the law. If you tried to have an insurrection, you're not supposed to get to run for president again. But everybody doesn't want the things to be what they're supposed to be, but let the things be what they're not supposed to be. I'm living in an upside down Stranger Things universe right now for all of these educated people to act like getting force-fed poison is an option. That's what I'm saying.
We live in a country of double standards. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It won't even hold the president accountable.
Yeah, the policies that are currently in the office, we're all up here and seeing black on this panel. I'm not sure if your life has been better in the last 4 years. Oh, imagine. But Sleepy Joe, your Lord and Savior, was in the freaking office, but nothing's better for us. And that's the same man who refused to talk to Ice Cube about a black agenda, and all the black people was like, well, you just need to leave Sleepy Joe alone. He has a plan. He loves us. And why are you bringing up the 1994 crime bill and the super predator? He's the only one that can win. He's the only. Did he win for us, though? Is anything better for us? Or are more of our paychecks going to everything outside of our house and increasing our stress and diminishing our health and all the other things? What about the education system? What about all that? Has he helped with any of that with our people? No, since 1994. But we still up here praising him, licking boots, and now the Kamala is going to be the savior? Really? Okay, y'all. Okay, you're about to get what you got for the last 4 years. That's what's about to happen.
I never praised him for one, but then I just want to know if that's the case. So, has anybody ever really looked out for us? Though that's what I just want to know. That's what I'm tired of. That's why I want to do the work, and I think we all should be about the work to start making sure people look out for us. Okay, because nobody ain't really looked out for us. We keep getting the short end of the stick, and we built the damn country. Okay.
Yes.
Can I just add this point? You know, what Joe Biden inherited was the mess that Trump created. We were in a good position when Obama handed it over, and he was hell bent on dismantling everything Obama did and put in place. All right. So then when he handed over the presidency to Biden, he had to then turn around and clean up his mess. I mean, let's make that.
And then now people were getting massacred out there. It was execution after execution after execution, and it was getting ready to come. They're going to annihilate it. I'm going to tell you another reason why. Somebody said something about somebody said something about. Oh, I think it was Couture. Was talking about Roe versus Wade, but yet they still have Viagra. The thing is that they're afraid of the browning of America.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically here. Okay, that's the first thing. The other thing is that so they want women to keep having them babies, and they want men to keep getting it up so they can keep putting them in there. Okay, because they got the strength in their race. That's mainly it, because they say that we always have the ones having babies anyway. So they feeling like we having babies at a faster rate than they are. You know what I mean?
Well,
America is becoming too liberalized.
Well, the birth rate is down everywhere, except for the Hispanic population from what I saw. But like I said, I love the passion. I really do. But since I've been allowed to vote, I have not seen anybody really do anything for us.
That's what I just said.
Because of the middlemen. I don't think it has anything to do with the president. They have these characters who claim they care about us, and they're so black, right? Hence why the younger generation don't respect them, because they are literally agents of chaos. There's certain bills that should have been in place, like the no lynching bill should have been in place. Like, I'm not understanding
but
that.
4 years later, and he's still talking about it. Okay.
No, but I'm talking about
Tim
back,
Scott.
but I'm talking about the no lynching bill back when our true leaders were being unalived. Way before the George Floyds and all that. It should have been the Emmett Till lynching bill. You mean it took for the new millennia to even get that on the table? Absolutely not. So what does that tell me? People who are put in positions who care about the the community, they weren't on their job. And we know that we can't just blame one presidency after another because none of them cared about us. The reason
That's
I brought
right.
up the Trail of Tears is because it was Black civil rights leaders who allowed for them to take us off that bill. So
Wait, hold up, sis. The Trail of Tears had to do with Indian treaties.
I know that, but we were in that as well at first. We were. There's certain, but I
She's
didn't
saying
see
that
them.
they pulled us out of it.
They
As
pulled us
property.
out
They've
of it at
broken
the
every
last
treaty
minute.
they ever had, by the way. Every treaty. Name
Yes,
a
they have.
treaty and it's broke.
Absolutely.
Hold on, ladies. Let me get to some of these comments because people are making points. Gregory Ken Smith, welcome to the chat. Welcome to Knotty Love Movement.
Hey.
He says that maybe we should stop paying taxes. What do you guys think about that?
Oh,
I have an aversion to jail.
I'm with that.
Yeah, me too.
Because they're not using our
Yeah.
tax dollars to fortify Americans. They're sending all my reparations to the Ukraine and is fake. And so they can, if they're going to be sending reparations to things that aren't going to help our country, then why are we paying taxes in our country?
Because I don't want to go to jail.
I don't understand.
Don't want to go to jail, so I'm just gonna wait a minute. I'm big enough to pay taxes.
No, you don't, dear heart.
I really don't have a dog in this fight.
No.
All right. Here's another point of contention that a lot of people have with this country: the immigrants. They open the borders. Let me tell you, my local Home Depot is over flooded with immigrants to the point now they're spilling out into the streets, and it doesn't
You
make me
mean the
feel
ones
safe.
that stand outside so they can help you build and stuff? They have that in California too.
Yeah. Well,
why?
We call them day workers.
Well, the day workers are now overspilled. Now it's so crowded in the Home Depot. Now they're standing on the side of the highway and things like that, trying to get work and things like that. But Gregory Kent Smith also said all that legal immigration is getting all the black people's money. Illegals has jumped the line. And I'm gonna start with Juice this time. What are your thoughts on the situation with the immigrants?
Well, they can only get away with what we allow them to get away with, because a lot of the stuff that they do goes right back to our voting rights and goes right back to things that we're supposed to vote on and things that we're supposed to make sure that we're watching and knowing about and voicing our opinions about. But if we don't say anything to the people that are in the positions that can change this, then it won't get changed. If we continue to just talk to one another and not the people in power, then they're going to continue to do that. I don't think it's fair that people who have been in this country all their lives, have worked all their life, generations have worked all their lives, paid taxes, paid all this stuff, and they still can't get the benefits that these people step one foot on American soil and they get entitled to. So I do disagree with that. I believe in, yes, helping people, but not helping somebody far beyond what help somebody else. I look at it this way. If a guest came in my house and asked for a meal, I give them a meal, but I'm not going to give them more than I'm going to give my own daughter who's been living here, helping me to support this household.
I love
so that's the way I look at it. I'm not saying don't help them, I'm saying you have to also remember to help our people too.
Exactly.
Can I just add something to that, because I see this a lot of times today. 20 million people have gotten kicked off of Medicaid. Okay, I sell Medicare and I sell plans that help people that have both Medicaid and Medicare. You can't, here in Michigan, if you can't make over $1,207 and get Medicaid, what is $1,207 for income a month? Okay, so now these people also have to pay $200 out of that. So now you just say $200. So now let's just say they have $1,000 to live on because they have Medicare. But yet we've got all these immigrants coming in and they're giving them Medicaid and benefits straight off the rip. So again, I think that it's right. We have work to do. And that's why I keep saying the same thing. We've got work to do. We can't just keep sitting up here talking about it to one another. It used to be a time where you used to hear the term and people there were lobbyists. That's exactly what they all did. They lobbied. You don't hear about that anymore. You know, you don't hear about people putting pressure on. You don't hear about filibusters anymore. It used to be like that back in my day. Okay. When they were really doing politics and and the people were moving the engine. We need to get back to those things and start moving this engine.
Back to basics. Corey, what are your thoughts on the immigration situation?
Okay. You have governors like Hot Wheels in Texas and the Satan in Florida, who have bused these people searching for asylum to different sanctuary cities like New Jersey, Chicago, and New York. They've overcrowded and overburdened the system on purpose. And there is a immigration bill sit on the floor of Congress right now that the orange dude has told everyone on the GOP not to touch because he's going to be a dictator and he's going to deport them all.
Exactly.
Wow.
No, you're gonna put
Go
some
ahead,
of them in
Brenda.
work camps.
Brenda,
That
what are your
too.
thoughts? Go ahead, Brendan.
Go ahead, baby.
On the immigration.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's a reason why the Statue of Liberty has that poem. Give us your poor, your tired, your hungry, your
huddled masses.
Huddled masses. Thank you. But we can't support all of them.
Mm-hmm.
We can barely support ourselves. The system is pretty much jammed up with Hot Wheels and Satan.
Right.
And it'd be cruel to have them come here and not have housing for them. We've already promised housing to those in Afghanistan who left Afghanistan because the Taliban had hits on them.
Mm-hmm.
And
breathe.
It's just cruel to have them suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, are they really better off here?
No,
you know.
Honestly, when it comes to immigration, I feel like there needs to be measures in place, but I also feel like that's some of the things that goes back to the local election. You know, people like to complain during the presidential year because they didn't do the work in the local election, and it always shows. I'm not saying us on the panel didn't, but I'm talking about overall. The thing going on, like, Governor Abbott is my governor, you know what I'm saying? And I like what he's done as far as the immigration. No, because enough is enough. I live in San Antonio. They just busted 3 establishments for TD and illegals. So it just goes to show, like, look, I have my feelings, and I feel like I'm all for helping, but I'm not all for helping at the detriment of us. And it goes back to show that the senators in place, because we always blame the president. There were people who are co-conspirators of what is going on right now. So this is why I said, if you don't like what they were doing, vote them out, or vote in someone, or vote them back in. It's either of you. There is no reason people from Kentucky are complaining about Mitch McConnell when they've been voting him in consecutively. They keep voting him in. So that tells me they are comfortable with their decision. I don't complain about what they're doing in Florida because I don't live there. Now, I think that's another problem. People like to bring up stuff from, oh, look what Governor Newsom's doing. I don't care what he's doing over there, because it doesn't affect me here in Texas until the California residents start coming to Texas, shooting up inflation even more. That's when I start to get concerned. And that's why I always say there were problems way before 2024. These are problems from back in 1998 that are just now spilling over because it's reached its boiling point. And that's why it's so important to vote, because of course I feel like it shouldn't be no they talking about President Joe Biden being sleepy, baby. There's a couple of sleepies up in the Senate, in the House.
It's a lot of them. It's a lot
And
of
they're
them.
lobbyists, because every time I turn around, I'm like, baby, you are from yesteryears past talking about you like this and da 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 da, because they're going to be dead. Sorry, Knotty, I'll
Well,
send you
I'm
some
going to
money by the time it affects their grandchildren. So
A lot of this is going to affect our lineage and everything down the road. Even like I said about the reproductive rights. When you were saying that it's been the lowest that it is, exactly. That's the whole point. It's too low. They're not the majority anymore, and they're going to stop that. What's going to also happen is going to be a lot of trickle down things that happen.
Yes.
So if a woman gets raped, they're going to let her deal with it. Okay. So you can't deal with it. And so more raping is going to be happening to women. We are already one of the lowest on the totem pole anyway. So they're not going to feel like so they know they've already repealed this right. It's not much more they're going to repeal. Remember that the one that's running, the orange man and everything, he's the one that want to grab him by the ussy. Okay, so that means that we're nothing but, an object. Okay, so that's why they're trying to do this. And then so that they can maintain. And another thing too is that they're upset because there is a woman in office and these women are getting too big. They feel like they got to bring them down, okay, and put us in our places, which is barefoot and pregnant, based on the orange man. And in the kitchen, based on the orange man. And so they stay in the kitchen so this way you can eat. It's easy to grab them by the ussy, okay?
Yep.
Exactly. I think Nate DJV said it best. They see us as subhumans.
They do.
Yeah.
I was Brendan with the give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free, your wretched reviews of your teeming shores. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That's what it says on the Statue of Liberty, which is supposedly Black woman breaking bondage because there was chains around her feet and coils in her hair, allegedly. But anyway, that's another story. But I'm with Brendan on that. It started off a good point, and our country not only was founded by the three things: the colonial colony for the penals, the criminals from Europe and France, and then slavery, and then immigrants built America along with the colonizers. And so to now change our brand, I think is necessary only because so many people are coming. And like, I think it was Bay said, we need more measures in place, but we have measures in place, but they've been overlooked. We have measures in place, but they've been overlooked. You see what I'm saying?
It also varies from state to state. Let me add that.
Right. So we just need to all be. I live in a sanctuary state. We have sanctuary cities all over here. Nobody dropped anybody off in front of my house like they did Kamala over the weekend, but it could happen because if you sympathize with immigrants, then people want to drop them off that. Like take care of them. And I feel like
sorry about that.
Once
the alarm, I'll be right back.
Brendan, I'm gonna mute you, okay? All right, there you go.
Once the immigrants do come over here, I don't think giving them taxpayer dollars is the thing. They need to come to what immigrants can do to get their hustle on, but don't give them anything that an American current citizen is miss out on for them to get it. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like that would be fair. And then we can all just live free. Somebody said something about the crime waves. I mean, there's a lot of criminals already here, and there are many crimes happening because they are not being the people that come. Nobody knows what their backgrounds are or anything. And I feel like that's very important to know. If you're coming from a country that's riddled with crime, were you part of the crime? Like, is that why you over here? You know what I mean? Because
let's not forget a lot of these immigrants are running from cartel.
Yeah, and we deserve protection and we deserve to be looked out first. I don't think that this whole thing about Captain Save-A-Ho as far as a brand for a country is working anymore. When our democracy is failing, our people are under freeways, our kids aren't being taught the truth in school, everything here is whitewashed and leads back to slavery and white supremacy and all that stuff. We need to get our stuff together. Our whole slip is
we do need change. You're right about that.
And we seem to just let it keep on showing and people are tripping on it. And I feel like we need to do what democracy is we the people. The reason this keeps happening is because we let it keep
sorry
happening.
About that.
No worries. And back to one other point.
Feed my name.
When the two people that are in office right now got in office, the first 100 days is supposed to be super important. And in the first 100 days, after a landslide victory because of melanated voters, he told black people to wait. He got the black people in the room. Joe did. Joe, whatever Joe you want to call him, whether he's asleep, needs green tennis balls on the front of his walker, or mumbles, that Joe got in the room with the black leaders that helped him get elected and told him they were going to have to wait, and didn't never address them again until now he needs their vote again. You guys should feel a way about that. And then Kamala, when she was asked, are you going to do anything specific for black people now that you're the first black vice president? She said, no, I'm not doing anything specifically for black people, and then went and signed the anti-Asian hate crime bill just for Asians. So we got to look at who we are assigning as our representatives based off of what they've already shown us to be true about what they think
I have to
we
go, Miss
are
Naughty.
and where we are on their list of important things to do. They've already shown us. They pull us out of their pocket like we're sexy panties, but they're not doing nothing. They can't fit the panties. They can't fit the panties. They're just showing us the panties like they can fit the panties, but they don't have our best interests at heart. We need to look at the history to see what the future is going to be. And whether it's his story or her story, they both had the same message to black voters and did never change it or do nothing about it till now you come pandering for my hot sauce vote.
Thank you for your thoughts, Curves. Very beautifully said. Juice, any closing remarks?
I would have to say, as a people, if we can't have good communication with one another, then how are we going to get people in seats that can? We have to learn how to have good communication with one another to be able to be sitting in seats that are of authority. And that's my main conversation. I've always been like that. I believe that we can talk to one another in a way that we could have good communication, even in our disagreements, then we could be able to sit in seats where we can make the positions and the policies for others. But until we can be able to have good communication with one another in our disagreements, then those seats are still going to be left to others to do the stuff that you still saying you want to do.
Exactly. I appreciate that. Any closing thoughts, Corey?
Yes. Our civil rights are not permanent. They are voted on every so often. So the people who have gotten their heads popped in on Bloody Sunday, who have left this earth now, who have transitioned, who are looking down at us after all of the personal sacrifices they have made, and we're not going to vote because we don't like the different cheeks, but not going to vote for the cheek that's going to give us the less ish on our face because we don't want to live in an authoritarian regime, then I think we owe them an apology because they gave up, which is most precious to them, their time and their life force. Vote. That's it.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you. That's the point I want to drive home ultimately, people. Vote. Get out there and vote. The deadline to register to vote, if you're not, is October 17th. We have a lot riding on this. As Couture Bay said earlier, it's not just the presidential candidate. Also, the seats in the House are up for re-election. We have to get out there to not only vote on the presidential level, but your local level as well. You have to continue that same energy so that you can really make a difference. So those of you who are out there saying, oh, my vote doesn't count, let me tell you, it takes more than the presidential election for it to count. You have to continuously vote on all levels for it to matter. That determines who your senator is, the governor, so on and so forth. So I just want to urge everyone in my Knotty crew to get out there and vote. All right. Now I done presented factual information to you guys, presented different scenarios. Do as you may with it. It is not my job to convince you on who to vote for. That's your own personal choice. But think outside of just yourself when you do cast that vote. I think it was, hold on, let me just find this one comment. and then we can get out of here and close the show. And thank everybody for joining me in the chat. I see everyone. Love, love, love. But it was along the lines of they're not only voting for themselves, but they're voting in regards to I think like student loans. Here it is. Shout out to Madam Mademoiselle for your comments. She said, listen, I'm looking out for people's rights, Social Security, health care, student loan debt, which will be forgiven next year, and maintaining this fake democracy. And that ain't Trump. And I think that's a wonderful way to close the show. I appreciate every last one of you joining me on this panel. I'm going to go ahead and drop everyone down. Does anyone have anything else to say before I drop everyone down?
Just that. I love you, Knotty. Thanks for having this robust conversation. You know I love robust conversations. This was excellent. We had so many different POVs, and nobody worry. I know that people be worried when because I have a lot of energy, and I guess people can feel it, and I come over as but I love Juice. She loves me. I love Corey, even though she thinks Marianne is on mushrooms that I can't get none of. And I love
you more, sis.
On the freaking panel. POVs only enrich our stance on things, and they allow us to see where we're flawed. So me sharing my POV, if I don't agree with everybody up here, I don't have to, but maybe our differences can help me change my perspective or get it in line. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So there's enough room on right for everybody, and 18 things can be true at the same time. You know what I'm saying? There's not one particular way for a bajillion people to transmute the energy that we're given. So love and light to all the people. Register, do what's in your best interest, but also hold these people accountable. Don't just keep getting talked out of your panties, because they're not going to let us keep using the Plan B pill to get rid of what we have to deal with the next 4 years. Ta-ta.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Corey. You have something else to say? Okay. All right, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much, Mir. And thank you for all your comments. Thank you, Callie Nola. Thank you, Juanita. Thank you, Gregory Kent Smith, for joining me. I'm sorry if I forgot anyone else, but I love you all. I love you all. And that's all my job is to spread the message in a loving way so that you can walk away and make the best choice for yourself. Now, I presented different scenarios to you. We broke down Project 2025 at the beginning of the show. But most of all, I want you all to go out and enjoy your day. And I'm just sending peace and blessings and good energy to you all. And I think it was a good panel. I really, really do. But Knotty Crew, just make sure you don't get...
You ever been swallowed up, swallowed up?
Don't get swallowed up by all this fake news, false propaganda that's being spewed our way. All right. And make sure before you go along with someone's agenda, make sure they have.
Do I need to bring the receipts? Do I need to bring the receipts, baby girl? Because I got receipts.
Make sure they have receipts. Do your own research and fact check yourself. All right. So we gave you several ways and the importance of voting and what the vote means. So I hope you all can take that and put some action behind it. But to all my haters, y'all know I embrace my haters. Yeah.
And I want to say thank you in case I don't thank you enough.
I thank y'all too. Y'all keep the wheels turning over here. But please make sure you like, comment, share the video. It's important that we spread the word, okay? And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. You know, I try panels and I try to stay on top of the trending topics, but when it comes to political in your stance on voting and things like that, I like to just like put a little extra attention, because at the end of the day, celebrities going to be celebrities. Hollywood is going to keep weirding, okay? But it's important for us to continue to keep our logical mind. So I appreciate every last one of you joining me. Until next time, Knotty Crew, I'm out. One.